welcome Coach Burke. I know I've been told a lot of different things about you. Luke's been spilling the beans. He held my ear for about 45 minutes earlier today telling me all about you. So why don't you just go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself, man?
Well, hey, I'm just here in Wichita now, coaching at May South, coach football and track and teach weights for the Mavericks before that. And I'll kind of make some of the questions all throughout some of the journey there. But from Western Kansas out in Jetmore, went to play some ball at Garden City Community College and then Bethany College, then off into the coaching world from Lincoln to Quivira Heights to Wichita Heights to Dodge City to Chaparral, and now here at May South. So been around, got 3 kids and a wife, and so I'll throw a little bit of that, I think, on our schools as we're talking about it. I'll kind of throw some shade at some of the places I've been and tell you about that.
That's awesome. Then you're also are you the president, like the Kansas high school coaches? Is that right?
Football Coach Association, Prez. You served 2 years as a vice president, and then now I got another 2 years as a president here. So that's what Kansas Football Coach Association. We usually have a big a clinic in January, or it's February this year, or January, I can't remember. Yeah, January, and that's the big part. And then go our all-state teams. We select that in December. That's the big part of our association.
Nice. Yeah, I know we got a few different top 5s here to go with, but I know we'll start with the first one. I know you wanted to do this, but top 5 mascots in high school or college in the state of Kansas.
Okay, do I get the first pull at this one?
You got the first crack at all of them tonight, so we'll give you the first one here for sure.
All right, well, I'll stick with the colleges in Kansas to start things off, and kind of in light to the Fighting Lukes from Shuckman University. The number 5 spot goes to the Washburn Ichabods. If this was a top 25, they would come in at 25. If it was a top 100 and there's only 88 schools, they're still 100. They're going to be ranked 100. The Ichabods is an Ichabod. I understand.
What is it? Ichabod Crane?
I understand it's Ichabod Washburn, I think, might be the guy, but he's not even a big guy. He's really short, not real strong looking. So I got to put the Washburn Ichabods at the 5 spot again. Also reserved for 25 or 100. Second on the list, I think we're going to go with the Southwestern Mound Builders. Not necessarily sure, what a mound builder. They're calling themselves. Their mascot's a cat. You go there, they got a black cat. And I haven't seen cats make that many mounds. I think a mound might be a prairie dog or something. But Southwestern claims their fame with a black cat on the field. And so I think they might be confused a little bit about what a mound builder is. Not sure. They mean it a class on that one. But again, it's another what. It's really battling Washburn for that 5 spot or 100 spot, whatever.
599, whatever.
Coming in at number 3, I'm going to go down to Newton with the Bethel Threshers. I got to give them some love on the Threshers being in the wheat state. I guess it'd be like the Shockers or like the Jayhawks, paying a little tribute to their homage. As they make Gleaner Combines just right over there in Heston. There goes a good mascot for high school, the Swathers. And it kind of makes me think, as you're talking about a Threshers, I think of the Cars movie when you got Lightning McQueen and Mater getting chased by a combine out there, a Thresher, I guess. And it's pretty crazy. So I guess it is very intimidating if you're going to get chased by a combine. So at least it's an intimidating mascot with a Thresher. So it almost started to maybe even move up on they got an intimidation, and they're paying to the homage to our roots, I guess, here in Kansas. So, but they're number 3.
You're talking them up the list. I like it.
Yeah. Well, number 2, I guess I'm just going to go homer here and go with my alma mater at Bethany College, the Terrible Swedes. with no Swedish background. You know, we were just there, I guess. It was pretty good when we were in college. We never lost a home game, or we never lost a conference game to the Swedes. The terrible Swedes was maybe a tough-looking Viking. If you're not any good, you're just a terrible Swede. So, but I'll have to say, it gives to the Lutheran Swedish College of Bethany College. The terrible Swedes rock on at number 2. A few honorable mentions off the top of my head, real quick. A few high schoolers, the Tribune Jackrabbits out in western Kansas, and the Hill City Ringnecks have some interesting ones. And I'll have to go with my Roadrunners from Chaparral with their unique and tough little bird mascot as some honorable mentions in this. Before I go to our number 1, it's where my son's playing ball right now in college, the Gorillas from Pitt State. You know, when you're talking about, as I started thinking about Bethel and the Combine, they're tough. So I wouldn't want to fight a gorilla. I think gorilla's a pretty good mascot. Probably should be used a lot more in America. But the Pitt State Gorillas take down the number 1 spot.
No, I agree. The gorillas are tough, but where did Pitt State come up with the gorillas? Is it just like a random? I mean, there's no gorillas in Kansas by any means, right?
Well, there might be. It's getting close to the Ozarks down there, so there may be some gorillas down in Pitt State land. But we're, I suppose, no different than the Eagles and Cougars and all the other different things we find. The gorillas, I don't know if they have any huge history mark on the Pitt State Gorillas. Don't know.
The closest thing to a gorilla was probably Coach Broyles. I've seen some pictures of him that, you know, he looked like a gorilla somewhat, like, you know, so I have seen, you know, one of those. But Coach Broyles was awesome. Had 3 uncles play at Pitt State. And B.J. McGivern, my uncle, that's as close to a gorilla as it gets as far as craziness. So there we go.
I was going to say for sure the Shuckmans that went there were the epitome of gorillas, to say the least.
The McGiverns, brother.
The McGivers, that's right. That's right. Luke, what do you got for your top 5 mascots?
Well, let's see. What did I go with here? I just put like 3 or 4. So, but you know, I just went. I'm just gonna go a couple here. I don't want to take a whole lot of time, but the Smith Center Redmen. You got on that, Burke. Smith Center Redmen.
Hey,
it's better than the
test of time. It stood the test of time here. They didn't fold.
You think Redmen? You think the Bushkas and Carneys? You know, Redmen there. So I just got a few more I want to throw out. That was the one list I was just going to go off the top of my head. I only think I was going to do a couple here, but
yeah,
I'm just going to go with the Redmen. I want to hear what you guys got.
All right,
I thought funny last show.
OC. Go with. Listen, I'm going to go first off. Number 5, the Dayton Flyers. I'm going to go Homer time there. Say the birthplace of aviation. No offense, Wichita. Number 2, I'm going to go to the Ohio State Buckeyes. Very little known about that. Top of my head. We're talking about the Buckeyes. It was the eye of a buck. That's what they thought. These things that fell off the tree, the nuts were the eye of the buck. I don't know. So then, number 3, I'm going to go with the Shocks, the Shockers. What can you say? That's a great nickname. Then I'm going to go number 2. Let's see here. Number two. We will go. Man, I'm going to go with the Kangaroos of UMKC. What an odd nickname. And then for number 1, what is going to be my number 1? My number 1 is going to be the Fighting Irish. I mean, can we play on more stereotypes in history than a guy running around in a leprechaun suit and fighting? All right.
Do you think that should get changed before the Redskins get changed? Should it be like the same time?
No, nobody wants to talk about it. We all love to talk about the Fighting Irish. The Fighting Irish.
Hey, what part of Kansas is the Fighting Irish in?
What part of Kansas are they in? I have no idea, Luke. I only know where they're at in Dayton, Ohio, and also in Pittsburgh.
I believe Chapman might be the Irish. I believe Chapman High School is the Irish. If you
yes,
you need one
they
there.
Are the. Thank you, Coach Burke. Fighting Irish.
Coming in clutch for him, Burke. Sasha, what do you got?
Yeah, I just got a couple comments for the peanut gallery. First, Burke's list was pretty good, but I felt like until he got to the Gorillas, he pretty much was just picking the worst nicknames in the state of Kansas. It was a 88 to 83 list. And then I'm just going to say, I was going to say before Nick even brought it up, my number one is the Redskins. Because just some nice high school chants we had involving that mascot back in the day. And the Fighting Irish resides right next to the North High Redskins. St. Patrick's Fighting Irish is, I think, who Tom was referring to.
Not a college or high school, but still, good call.
It's in Kansas, at least. So that's all I got for nicknames. I love watching Tom, like, walk through the forest here. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the other screen is just
Giving us the full tour. I know I'm waiting for Bigfoot to go across the other screen there for us. No, I like where Tom was going, though, on the nationwide, because I had, what about the Stanford Cardinals? But their mascot is a tree.
Yeah.
well,
Sasha,
they're
me
the Cardinals
history of
singular.
that.
Cardinals singular.
Cardinals,
Not the Cardinals.
So it's
That's
a
St.
Cardinal
Louis.
tree?
Yeah, I don't know why their mascot's a tree.
All
You're
right.
going to have to ask somebody smarter than me.
Figured you were the man to go for it. All right. Next we got, so for Burke, I know this was a request from you, I think, too. But what are your top songs, either during a game or before a game, that get you or your team pumped?
Oh, man. Well, this is where I said I have to split up a pregame playlist into 5 segments. So here's your top 5 in segments. And your first segment, number 5, coming in at when the fat linemen are coming onto the field. We may still have the kickers and punters going on, and stretching period. We don't need to be headbanging yet. I love the Boys of Fall from Kenny Chesney. I mean, let's get your mind focused. I'll tell you, I'll actually have to throw back on this one of my favorite. Don't Stop Believing from Journey. That's early. And then we'll roll into number 4. This is probably indie time. We're getting moving out there in pregame. We may be 35 to 45 minutes before game time kickoff, but I'm going to have to go to the Rolling Stones and Start Me Up. That gets the number 4 spot. The runner-up there, kind of a newer one, would be Come With Me Now with the Congos. I like it. It's newer stuff that I like. But on the 3 spot, I'm kind of getting back into my time with this one. And this is, you're in pregame. You're popping pads now. It's getting close to game time. And it's going to be Welcome to the Jungle from Guns N' Roses. The other one that's really gaining a lot of momentum here lately from me is Seven Nation Army from the White Stripes. Like it. That's the runner-up at number 3. And keep in mind, we got about 60 minutes of pregame, so we have to have a few more spots into this. But then we're getting now to, it's about game time, and this is either going into the locker room and you got one last song, or coming out. A number 2 spot is Crazy Train, Ozzy Osbourne. And then I still got to stay old school on that one. It was Hell's Bells, AC/DC. If you have another intro song, it's got a good one. It's a good one there about game time.
Oh, yeah.
And then finally, so I know that my 5 is a little bit maybe strong here, but there's a one and only number 1. And it is, without a doubt, if you're an American, it's the national anthem.
Yeah.
Everyone take your hats off. Nick, take your hat off, please.
Man.
COVID cuts. There we go.
You're always going to have hats off, and when you're done with the national anthem, it's time to buckle it up, baby, and go. Nothing gets chills down your spine than a good national anthem. Big question is, you want the band playing, or do you want somebody singing it?
Ooh, I want somebody singing. I want somebody singing, hitting that last note, and I want the crowd yelling. It's the only way to start a game.
Well, I'm hoping it's one of you guys and not me. That's all I got to say on that one. So.
I love Hell's Bells, Bells, though, in high school, we used to walk out quarterback group, and the first song that would come on would be Hell's Bells. And when they hit the first dong, I used to just get juiced. I loved that.
It's beautiful intro song. So
yeah.
I'm with you on that.
All right, Luke, what do you got?
Yeah, so I actually made a list on these next couple we got there, but I'm going to start with a quick honorable mention. Unfortunately, it reminds me of my previous work, and I knew every time we got a goal, but Thunderstruck, and that's football and hockey there. AC/DC Thunderstruck gets pretty excited there. I went with Start Me Up, number Well at 5. Love that. Rolling Stones, makes me think of Chiefs games, even times at Washburn as well. Number 4, I got Enter Sandman by Metallica. You think Virginia Tech or when they come out to that, what's up, Penny? And, that's Enter Sandman. That gets me freaking jacked on that. Number 3, I almost put this even at 2 or 1, Shipping Off to Boston by the Dropkick Murphys. Don't know if any of you guys, Burke or OC or Nick, if you guys have been to a game at Central Missouri, but they would always play this game on all of their kickoffs. And it is, God, that song gets me jacked. Shipping Off to Boston.
That's a great workout song.
Go look it up.
I loved maxing out to that song, Luke.
Yes, that's definitely a good one. And am I at number 2? Well, or I'm just going to do just my number 1. We're going to go with For Those About to Rock. That's what I had there. Freaking absolutely love that song. It makes me think of just pure football adrenaline there. So For Those About to Rock.
I can dig it. I had one for the pregame you were talking about, Burke. I loved Tessie by, I believe that's Dropkick Murphys as well. The Tessie song, they play that at Boston.
Oh, yeah.
It's but that's a good kind of like a mellow one as well. A good beat, but also pretty mellow.
They got some really good stuff.
You got to have those early.
Yeah.
I learned that kind of my early coaching career. You can't load a whole lot of head banging an hour from the game. You got to gradually make yourself ready to go.
Exactly. I used to listen to Tessie just getting ready in the locker room. That was it. Just putting on clothes. Let's get a little, mellow going. Sasha, what do you got there?
Yeah, so I'm not really the football guy of this crew. I'd say I'm the least football guy of this crew. So of what I've heard so far, the number 1 get ready for a football game song that I always liked in my brief career was Welcome to the Jungle. Burke mentioned. So I'll give him the nod on this list so far. And then taking it to baseball a little bit, Luke mentioned a song that Mariano Rivera used to come into every time, Enter Sandman. So that's probably the top 1 pitcher walk-up or batter walk-up song of all time. And I'm just going to throw this out there. When I played baseball, I used to sing to myself while I was batting to give myself a little rhythm. And I always sang Uncle Cracker, Follow Me, while I was in the batter's box. It's a song about doing drugs, I think, but it made me calm. So,
really hit home to you then.
Yeah, follow me. You guys get the point. We don't need to
sing it. That's okay. No, baseball too. I just watched what is it? I can't think of it now. Major League twice in the last 3 days.
Yeah.
I mean,
there's a
wild thing coming in.
There's a lot of good walk-up songs in baseball, but it kind of runs the gamut. You'll hear the headbangers and guys that want to get jacked up, and then you'll hear the slow country. But I always needed something that kind of relaxed me going into the box, something slow.
Who was the easy. Baby Shark guy last year?
He was on the Nationals.
The Nationals, yeah.
He was like a bench player, but he won the World Series.
I can't think of it. We'll think of it. All right, OC, what do you got? Top 5 songs, get you juiced. We got to unmute you real quick.
Oh, sorry. Here we go. Top 5. I've got Crazy Train. I've got that's High School Days. And I've got Metallica, Seek and Destroy. That's High School Days. I'm going to go number 3 with AC/DC, Back in Black. And then I'll just go ahead and say Swing the Mav Fight song into it while we're running out. Number 2, definitely Shuck mentioned for those about to rock. Number 1, look it up on YouTube, find the video. Renegade, Heinz Field, when the Steelers need a big defensive stop. Phenomenal. Sorry, Chiefs fans. That's how I feel.
Fine.
Oh.
How did we forget that? How did we forget that?
The chop has to be in there. Definite top 5. I mean, once you get into Chiefs Stadium, you hear that. It's go time.
And yeah, what about Black Betty if you're at Chiefs Stadium?
Oh yeah.
Betty kickoff.
But they changed that because it used to be. It was always Start Me Up.
No, Start Me Up's there on the kickoff. Black Betty's after scores.
Is it now? Now, I'll tell you, I haven't been less than 18 beers deep at a Chiefs game in at least 5 years, so I couldn't tell you exactly what songs they play.
I guess Mike Tomczak may have been playing quarterback for the Steelers the last time I heard Black Betty at Arrowhead. Maybe you got me there.
Yeah, it could definitely be.
Nick, what's your top 5, dude? What do you got?
Songs, so definitely, I mean, most of them have been mentioned. I like how Burke went with kind of the warm-up. I love Tessie when I'm getting ready. Always used to listen to that. And then I like Getting on the Field. I mean, truthfully, Black Betty before kickoffs was great. There's a few teams we played that would play that before. And it got pretty juiced, but I was never on kickoff team or anything, so I had to stay a little more mellow. I loved Johnny Cash. The Man in Black is a good one. Kind of more mellow, but just one there. Number 2, I'd probably go with, I love how OC put this out there, but the Benedictine Ravens fight song. Ravens are flying high in the sky, because we played it after we won. It's great. And then number 1, though, I got to go Hell's Bells. Hell's Bells, without a doubt. Anytime I hear that the first bell there, gets you jacked.
That's good stuff.
Burke, you got any other honorable mentions or anything in there?
Probably Right Now from Van Halen was another I remember that back in the day, but you guys covered the rest of them. Good stuff.
Yeah, I think
we are forgetting one, and Sasha includes you with the baseball, but and Burke, I know we talked about it the other day. Take Me Out to the Ball Game for baseball.
That gets you
Talk about needing to relax, stretch it out.
Nothing gets you more jacked than Take Me Out to the Ball Game. Harry Carey singing it.
Truthfully, the Star Spangled Banner does get me real juiced on the Super Bowl. When you get to bet on it, and that last note, you're like, I need fucking 5 seconds out of this last note. Come on. Just give it to me. There's no more fun than that. Just a dumb little bet there. All right, Burke. And then also so you've played at a lot of places or coached at a lot of places. So what are the top 5 stadiums that you played in?
Okay. Well, I'll throw this out to you, kind of like I did earlier. I kind of split this one up. I'll go back to my high school days. I think stadiums all depends on if you're a winner or you're a loser. If you win and the people come to the game, it's a lot better stadium than empty seats and the stuff. I think the band makes a difference, the student section, and then a little bit of the atmosphere, maybe where the locker room, scoreboards, all those things play into that whole, I guess, atmosphere. But the Jetmore Longhorns, where I that was my hometown. We had a pretty good atmosphere. It was down in a valley. You had to be parked up on top of there, and it was a good atmosphere. It was one of the best, but the best on the road that I remember back in the day was at the Hanston Elks. I think it was because it was a 1-versus-2 game. About less than 2,000 people live in Hodgman County, and there was just under 2,000 people at the game. So it was standing room only, cars parked clear out into on the highway. It was kind of a neat situation. And I remember that my sophomore year, pulling off the victory when the Longhorns beat the Elks, which would have been a mascot that we could have thrown out there. And they went on to win a state title. But afterwards, looking back and seeing out in western Kansas, it's really the only places I can tell you where there's hills and curves between Jetmore and Hanston, which are now consolidated 11 miles apart. But it was bumper-to-bumper taillights for 5 miles in front. Look back, we were having a good time in the bus, but look back, and it was bumper-to-bumper taillights for 10 miles straight coming back. So that whole atmosphere, certainly left a mark in high school, and those two towns are consolidated now. So that was at the 5 spot. 4 spot in JUCOs. We won a lot of games at Garden City. We were conference champs and stuff. It was the best atmosphere. And when we went on the road, the Ville at Coffeyville was the toughest place to play back in the 90s, early 90s when I was playing the JC ball. At Bethany College, again, we never lost a home game. We never lost a conference games, and we had good atmosphere, good students. All the things I said earlier, it was a fun place to play. But of the road games, my most memorable was probably my last game when we played at University of Oregon. We played a playoff game against Willamette College. Got to play we called it the Duck Pond because it rained for 3 days straight. And played there, got beat, obviously. But that was an honorable mention because the best place, I think this might be, maybe Nick, I'm not sure, was Benedictine College was the best road atmosphere that we ever played in. I know we were down 26-3. It was again ranked teams. They were ranked 2 in the country. We were ranked 7. We were down big. There's some of my teammates got hit by beer bottles on the way out to the field. We took even more going into the locker room, down 26-3. But we came back and won 30-29. So it was a fun go back through that crowd there at Benedictine College after a big victory.
It's a wet campus, and they just allow unlimited tailgating. It's awesome.
It did. It looked like it was been fun to be out there with them guys, and it was a lot of fun walking back through that when we were done. So there's a quick, and then going into high school, I put it into as a coach for the last 23 years. I kind of split it into 2 spots. Like I told you. At Lincoln, so this would be there at 5. Tough places to play. Claflin won 51 in a row. It was intimidating, but lacrosse, because we had to go through they were ranked. We had to go through their stands, and there was a really tough place to play. Won that game, maybe thanks to the fans, as we went through halftime and got called a lot of names. Going on to QH is good. We won a lot of games at Quivira Heights, so it was a fun place to play there. Toughest place on the road. Some honorable mentions to Little River. These are kind of interesting things for people who haven't heard of these places. In Sylvan Grove was good places. But, again, I had to go back to my hometown and get beat a few times in the playoffs at Jetmore. That was the toughest place to play. One little quick thing about the Longhorns, you knew it was a big game when you showed up at school at 8 in the morning and there was already cars parked all along the street so that the older people could get there. And I remember one time a playoff game, it was already full at 8 o'clock in the morning when we showed up for school. Ended up with snowing that night, so there's a reason the cars were out there. But it was a playoff game with Northern Valley, who ended up being a state title team. That was a tough place to play. And then at Chaparral in the small school section, that ended up being a great place. My last 5 years, we only lost 2 games there at home. They became a tough place to play. But on the road, Conway Springs and all of their mystique is tough to play. Heston, a shout out there. The toughest place is Garden Plain. They got a beautiful stadium or a beautiful field and just kind of an atmosphere there. It's a lot like Andale. And then I've been to games, and it's tough to win at Garden Plain. And then in the big leagues, in the big schools, I was talking to my son on this earlier a little bit, and I flipped a couple of them after talking with stadiums and things like that. Number 5 spot is, and I got to give it, May South has got a nice stadium, a nice place. It's up there. The 5 spot's Liberal. They call it the Burial Grounds. Really tough place back in the 90s to win. When I was coaching out there, in the 2000s. We were able to get some. They were still pretty good, but it's the mystique in the walls in the weight room when they made you dress was fairly intimidating. So
all their
that was kind of
up on the weight room walls, and it's inflated, obviously.
They had their pictures, and they were good, man.
Yeah.
Back in the 80s and 90s. In the 4 spot, and this could be obviously with the stadium, it's probably could be one is Hutch. That was a tough out. Never was able to win there with all their titles that they went through in the 2000s. They got a beautiful stadium. They got the jumbotron and big scoreboards, press box. Everything at Hutch is, it probably could be number 1 on stadium and atmosphere, but it just wasn't quite as nasty, even though they were tough to beat. Never did. Number 3 spot in the bigs was Dodge City. That's where I used to coach, and their tailgating is good. It's press box off in the west is high, and the stadium is nice. Their locker rooms are not good, so that may be how they fell to 3. But in my 3rd year there, we put in turf and a jumbotron and all that stuff. So it's a nice place to play out there. And then in the 2 spot, they were my number 1 the whole time, but I dropped in the 2 is the Great Bend Panthers. They were really good back in the 2000s. It just seemed like a dirty, nasty place to play. Bo Black built them up, and their crowd was always seemed to be right on top of you. And it was just hard to win out there. And they were good. I think that's part of the stadiums. And number 1, and it may not be the best stadium. I think Hutch is probably 1 on stadiums, but number 1's Derby. When you drive into Derby with the bus and you see all their state championships and you see flags flying, and they're down in the valley a little bit like Jetmore was, where they have a street that drives as the whole time you're in pregame, you'll see people coming. You see the smoke flying from the barbecue or the concession stand, and they'll pack the house and get their the Panther out and come through there. But it's a raucous place to play in high school ball.
Yeah,
they get the 1 spot.
I agree, Derby, because getting to see all the fans piling in while you're getting warmed up and stuff, it can be very intimidating on that. So, all right, we do have about 4.5 minutes left. So
is that top 25? Is that what that ended up being?
No, I like it. You've been so many different places though, so you've got a good perspective on different ones, which is awesome. Well, what I want to go with is OC. What are the top 5 toughest places to play in the NFL?
Let's see here. So I will go I got to go backwards 5. I will go with Seattle. 4, I will go with Chicago. 3, I will go with 3, I will go with I don't have a 3. So we'll skip 3 and we'll go to 2, which is Heinz Field in Pittsburgh. Oh, here's where I'll make my 3. My 3 is going to be Heinz Field. My 2 is going to be Three Rivers Stadium.
Yes.
Oh, double Pittsburgh.
When they're putting down ice on the field to prevent the Oakland Raiders' vertical pass attack, that's phenomenal. Sorry, that's great stuff. Ask some of those guys who came through what it's like to play on that hard concrete AstroTurf at Three River Stadium. All right, get your tomahawk out. I've been there for games, and I've actually seen the Steelers win a playoff game in Arrowhead. Thank you very much. Without a touchdown, for that matter. But yes, Arrowhead seems impossible. So there you go.
Chiefs. You missed New Orleans. You missed the Saints.
That's an indoor stadium. Not into that stuff, Sasha.
Did you have Lambeau on there?
Oh, I should have put that one ahead of Chicago. But hey, I winged it.
No, that's what we're trying to get you to do.
Hey,
I missed it.
Nick, I got one stadium
on
for you.
Facebook, baby.
One stadium. What is it, Sash?
Yeah, so I was going to give 5 baseball stadiums that I've played in, but I'll give you one that I guarantee is a tough place to win a game in. when I was in high school, we went down to Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and played at Alex Box, LSU's home field. And I've seen it on TV when LSU's playing there, and it's like the fans are on top of you. And we got to play in the stadium, and it was like literally 138 degrees there, humid as hell. Like we were sweating through our shirts on the field. So Alex Box, LSU.
Well, I'll tell you what, Burke, you bringing up Benedictine and getting beers thrown at you, I've never been more proud to be a Benedictine Raven than to hear a story like that. I mean, I definitely fit right in with that crowd, 100%. So never
It was
been
a
more
toughest
happy.
small school. Yeah, I gave you some different levels: small school, high school, and big school, and then the small school, college, JC route. You got a little bit of everything there, and that's what it is.
And then Luke, let's go. We got a minute for you.
Hey, just real quick, I'll just say Northwest Missouri State playing there. That you talk a raucous stadium, and we had some epic battles when I was at Washburn there. But Northwest Missouri State, you talk game atmosphere. That was definitely a tough one. And high school, go ahead. Where I coached when I coached at May South, Holton, Kansas, put on a hell of an atmosphere. Holton, Kansas, that shout out to the Wildcats. That was a lot of fun. And I actually, my senior year of high school, went and watched my cousin play at Topeka Hayden. When Hayden and Holton get together, it's a good time. It's a battle. So Holton, Kansas, it's my high school, and Northwest Missouri State out of college there.
I like it, man. Well, Burke, thanks for coming on, man. I got one question for you, though. Do you think it would take longer for me to chug 6 beers or Sasha to run a mile?
Longer?
Yeah.
I think you can get that. I think
Dude, I don't know
Sasha
if you can chug
might
6 beers,
surprise
Sasha.
us on this mile. But I'm going to have to say Sasha will take a little longer for you to run down 6 beers.
Awesome, man. Hey, we appreciate it. Great time, top5sports.com, Top 5 Sports on Facebook. Check us out. Burke, have a great night. Thanks for coming on, man.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Good to see.
Z, thanks, Coach.
See you.